do you guys feel like kicking arse? I've never said arse. And taking names today. Do you feel it?
Yes.
Seriously. Yeah.
Now that you
I'm
mention
excited. Now that I mentioned it. I've never used the word arse in a presentation in my life, so
But you were feeling
that's a first. Yeah. Yeah. Glad I held back there. So let's hear it. Victories, wins, gratitudes. I'd like to hear it today.
Victory for me
Oh,
was
that was
getting
good.
through
Real time. Okay, all of a
Yes,
sudden.
all at once.
Maybe it's the same gratitude. Yeah.
Surviving the last few days. Holy cow. I thought I was going to die. But you know what? Really my gratitude is for these guys who come in the morning and seriously allow me to beat the holy crap out of them.
punching bags.
It's really, really inspiring to see their desire to get better and really take the deep criticism that we get them. And it's not that they're doing bad, it's just we're pushing them to get extremely better. And I see growth day in and day out. And it's pretty inspiring. Because there was one time in here not long ago, I lost my focus a little bit. And it wasn't a pretty sight. Mainly because people were coming in week after week, month after month, year after year, and really not getting any better.
And barfing.
And barfing. Thank you. And to see these guys get in and really change, and their business shows from it. So it's
Awesome.
inspiring to see.
And people know why you do it, so that's why
I
they
think
say
so.
thank you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I don't care if someone's getting their first deal. If they're giving everything they've got to get that deal, I'll celebrate just as much as
Yes.
someone getting their 250th deal.
Absolutely.
Seriously.
Thank you.
Effort.
Yes.
Yeah.
250.
No.
So we had a couple more.
Or whatever.
Who else? Did you raise your hand?
Yeah. So my gratitude is you, buddy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thanks, bud.
I've been here for in the business and here for 4 years, and it's amazing how much stuff I've heard and how much it's starting to sink in, and finally going, wow, I've been hearing this forever, and it's like, you didn't hear that until now, and so Chris directed me to get clear on my purpose. He identified that you're probably not clear on your purpose, and he was right. And I've done goals, and I've done the dream board, and I've just kind of just went through the process and not really engaged in it. But yesterday, my wife and I got together, and we found a really cool video on YouTube. It was called Project Life Change, and it's a guy from Canada, and he walks you through the process of setting up your goals, long term and then short term, and then breaking down your short term goals. And so we were like pages and pages of writing, because he would come back and go, okay, now take those 1 year goals and let's break that down and put a date on it. And so now I have goals with a date. So
wow.
You know, and that was huge. It's like, well, we had goals, but then they say goals without a date are a dream. And you know, and me, I was like, for 4 years I've been like maybe thinking that doesn't apply to me or something. I don't know what, but now I have goals with a date. So I'm grateful for that.
Good. I'm excited to hear about your conversation. That's good. Really?
It's interesting, someone said, oh, you have to be here 3 years, but I always heard 5 years. And I've been in the real estate business forever, but I will be here as much as I can every morning, because this is where it all starts. And it is interesting that there's not more people here, but they just haven't caught the vision, whatever it is. But it is interesting, but through all of this, my mind has been rolling around. I'm going to do, and it's been on my mind for months, I'm going to do a family mastermind. And it's been on my brain for so long, and I'm like, okay, here it is. It's the end of the year. You know, we all have these resolutions for January, so I have 2 older boys, and I have 3 grandchildren, and I have a sister and a brother, so I'm going to invite them all, and we're going to do it on the first Sunday. I mean, I've got it down.
Yeah. So when's the date?
First
When's
Sunday
it gonna
of
happen?
every month. It's going to start January, the first Sunday in January, which won't be the first. It'll be like
The 8th or something.
6th or something. And it's going to be at my house, which means I have to get ready for it. And it's just, I'm going to set some guidelines. You know what a mastermind's about. So I'm actually researching and figuring it all out. And just like, what do we want to do as a family, as an individual? So I got this whole thing. I'm working on it, and I'm going to write them all a letter. That's going to be kind of their Christmas gift. I am taking them to Cancun for Christmas.
Wow.
That's always my vision, and that's one of my goals and my purposes. I start the first of the year, and I was getting my hair done yesterday, and she goes, how in the world do you take your whole family to Christmas? I said, because it's in my goals, it's in my plan, and I put so much money away every month. My goal is like $20,000 a year, and it's gonna cost me $16,000. And I'm not saying that to brag, it's just saying,
No, that's great.
make a goal, do something, and we've gone every year, but 2 years ago, and I'm rambling, 2 years ago, we had a big confusion on the trip, and I had a little come apart, and I said, screw you all, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm never taking you, we didn't go last year, and all this year they've been asking, are we going? I did not plan this trip till 2 weeks ago, because I was so mad at them still.
You said you have room
So-
in your family still?
Yeah.
But, and the story is, we're going, and I'm gonna do this mastermind, and I'm gonna write them all a letter about purpose and vision because of what I've learned here. I love Century 21.
Oh.
It's made such a huge difference to me.
And the cool part is, it's each of you guys really that creates this, right? Like, it's nothing without you guys being here.
Exactly.
So, do you guys care about Brenda Lee being able to follow through with this on the 8th?
No, that'd be
The answer
awesome
is
if you
yes.
would.
Yes.
The answer is
On my-
yes.
On my family mastermind.
Do me a favor, guys.
I would like to know
Is it-
more.
is it-
Everyone in this room, if you want to help Brenda Lee with this, literally in your phone right now, put in a reminder. I'm serious. In your
January
phone
8th.
right now, put in a reminder. Ask Brenda Lee if it's been done.
No, it's the 6th.
The 6th.
Sixth.
Okay.
It's last Monday.
Oh.
No, it's the first Sunday.
Okay, so
Sunday's always a
I
good
see
day
like
for my
3, maybe 4 people,
Okay,
but
January 6th.
Literally,
I'm
if
going
we're
to
gonna help
have
her out
my
with this.
First family mastermind.
I want to know, because I want to know how it comes, because
Hey, you know what?
I'm going to consider doing that.
You know what my message is going to be? I may be the only one there, but guess what? I'll talk to myself, because I do that all the time.
Okay.
And I'm going to say, I know there's going to be a few that'll show up, but I will report
Great.
how my first family mastermind
great.
is.
So the Monday
Yeah.
after
So-
in morning
so-
ascent
It'll be
class.
the 7th
So-
of January.
So the 7th of January, there will be blueberry pancakes in here, and we're gonna ask her.
Blueberry?
Yeah, that's what I do on my birthday, so.
Sure.
Oh.
On the 6th.
Insert birthday.
On the
Where
6th.
are we going here? Okay, so anyone else have
Oh my God.
gratitude wins? Yeah.
I'll piggyback off that, since he's talking about goals and she's talking about her goals and, taking her family on vacation, last August, I had a goal to take my family to Disneyland. And we're gonna do it the right way, stay at the Disneyland resort, just pay for everything the right way, no shortcuts. And we planned that around Christmas time the year before, and me and my wife talked about it, and she's kind of like worried, well, how are we gonna pay for all this? And I said, don't worry, we'll take care of it, don't even sweat it, we'll make it happen. That's kind of my attitude, and she's the one that worries, and so we balance each other out really nicely that way. But what it did for me was, like, for the next 7 months, every time I felt like slowing down a little bit, I pushed myself more, just because I don't want to look at my kids and my wife and be like, well, sorry, now we can't go to Disneyland, and even though I promised you, I gave you my word.
You
So
refuse to lose.
right, it's like I would rather just suffer and work hard and push through it. So setting those goals and having a deadline.
What really helps too is having the daily activity necessary to get there. So if you set your standard and include them on it,
Yep.
they can ask you, did you reach this today?
And
right?
so
Yeah.
that's a good point. So the cool thing about that, and I told my wife, I said, I just need you to give me the permission. There might be some nights where I might have to work till 7 or 8 o'clock because I need to get
Love
that
it.
appointment, or I need to stay out prospecting because we need to make it happen. And it was cool to see the difference where she didn't see me as being selfish, like I wanted to work. It's like, hey, we need to
Yeah.
make this
That's
happen.
a reason.
I can relate to that.
Nice.
So, yeah, awesome. Thanks for sharing, guys. So, announcements. Man, we got to write this up here, but my handwriting just isn't that nice. If anyone has nice handwriting, Toastmasters, Wednesday, 1 o'clock. It was pretty fun yesterday. Who went
That was
yesterday?
awesome.
It's pretty fun. Yeah. Not fun for me the hour beforehand, scrambling and stuff, but it was very fun. I'm glad it turned out like it did, and it'll only get better. UPW, Unleash the Power Within, March 14th to 17th. California, $695 VIP. I'm going. Keeps going. Josh, awesome.
Is that a week long or is that the 3 day?
It's the
14 sessions.
4 day, I think, isn't it?
4 day, Thursday,
Yep.
Friday, Saturday.
Yep. And then Mike Ferry Production Retreat, January 14th to 16th. It's coming up, guys. Don't wait until the 13th or 12th, and remember that you need to sign up for it. So, okay?
I have a question. I haven't been to that yet. Can anybody maybe expound on what that looks like or what to expect?
Yeah, I changed mine. I mean, I came here, went to a Mike Ferry event, signed up for coaching, and I made more money than I ever made.
So what did you do there? What was a typical day?
It's just a lot of energy, and you go through, and it's all stuff you've heard. We've all heard it, but you pick what sinks in that trip. I mean, whatever sinks in for you, it's there for you. It's some of the most powerful agents in the nation that get together and have all their testimonies. And Mike gets up there. He's funny. He's entertaining.
Mike Robb. And it's the first time they're going to be talking about buyers for a very, very long time. So this is a great event. This is probably one of the best events you can attend. It is something that will supercharge you. But it's like anything. You got to drink the Kool-Aid. You won't agree with 100% of anything and everything, but that doesn't matter. You take what resonates with you and you build on it. And man, it's stuff that works, period.
So go. Do something different, right? And different things happen. So, good question. Did you have something, John?
Yeah, so thanks for everyone that helped out with the Thanksgiving meals we were doing. I have been notified of 4 families in need of Christmas meals.
Wow.
And to take care of 4 families, we're going to need about 400. So anyone that can contribute, help out, would really appreciate it.
Great. Thanks, John. Please reach out to him. So today, in regards to some of the things that we've already mentioned during our wins and gratitudes, I'm going to be going into that a little bit. Do you mind putting the screen down? So before I go into this, I wanted to show you guys a quick clip here. So who went to Summit before Rick talked about summiting Mount Kilimanjaro? Yeah? You guys heard that? Was there a little bit of preparation that went into what he was doing? I was pretty amazed by all of the planning that went around doing this and just what type of effort required summiting this mountain, right? So next question, is anyone familiar with Kyle Maynard? Does anyone know who he is? Okay, so this is going to be a really cool story for you guys. He has a condition called, and I had to write it down, congenital amputation. And you're going to find out here in just a moment, if you aren't aware of what that is, what his condition is. So afterwards, I want you guys to write down any impressions that you have during this when you compare it to yourself or whatever you're going after or trying to accomplish, whatever you're going through. Through this, I want you guys, just general question, share with me any impressions that stood out to you during this. Thanks, Rick. I'm just going to show you guys a portion of this.
I would say my purpose in life, at least from my perspective, would be to help show other people their purpose, help show other people their capabilities, help show other people their human potential.
Kyle's life, I believe, he was sent here for a reason. He may look disabled, but he's not. And that's inspiring.
I don't give up easily on things. Every excuse that we make keeps us away from the things that we want the most out of life.
It is that attitude which has brought 25-year-old Kyle Maynard to Tanzania.
Like hyperventilating right now.
To attempt something that at first glance makes him seem delusional. Kyle Maynard wants to climb to the 19,000 431-foot peak of Mount Kilimanjaro.
When I first heard it, I thought it was a joke.
It's his goal to, show the world that you can achieve any goal that you want.
Kyle's always had crazy dreams like that, but he goes out and he does them.
At home in Georgia, Kyle has long been defying expectations and taking care of his own needs, all unimaginable 25 years ago.
The day Kyle was born was, obviously it was traumatic.
The doctors whisked him away. In a towel, covered him up, whisked him away. And they came back to the room and they said there's some problems.
The name of the condition that I was born with is called congenital amputation. For me, for all four limbs to be affected, it's a pretty rare thing.
We would just put things in front of him and help him figure it out without, trying to do it for him.
My dad said that the world was not going to be tailored for my every need. So that's why he knew that I had to go and find a way to go and do it on my own.
I was there with him in the sandbox as he picked up a shovel and was trying to figure out how to dump sand on me.
I never really realized Kyle was different. I've always looked at Kyle as a normal big brother.
But unlike his family, strangers were not always so accepting.
I remember the feeling as a kid where it really affected me. The stares and the looks. I remember sitting in bed and sometimes I would just cry myself to sleep thinking about would I ever be able to have a normal girlfriend someday, or wife, or kids, or a normal job, a normal career, and just a lot of fear about what the future would bring.
In Tanzania, Kyle's immediate future will require him to hike some 38 total miles while on the mountain.
The one fear that I have is just paying attention enough to my body to know the difference between when I can push through something and when something might really be dangerous.
January 4th, 2012, Kyle's Mission Kilimanjaro begins. Over the first 4 days, Kyle proves to be adept at climbing.
Feeling great. Feeling really good. It's being more upright, more vertical, and it takes pressure off my arms.
But the flat and downhill portions of the trail are taxing his arms to become a motivational speaker.
My message is a pretty simple one. It is to make no excuses.
But much of the time, Kyle says, he felt like a fraud.
I learned more than anything else.
I would be happy for that 45 minutes that I was on stage speaking, and then for the other 23 hours and 15 minutes of the day, then it was, a lot of it I felt depressed. I'm supposed to be trying to teach other people how to get their life together, and I can't even pull my own together.
Then in 2006, while Kyle was at a DC airport en route to a speaking engagement, two servicemen who'd seen him on TV spoke with him. They were MPs who'd suffered extensive, severe burns while in Iraq.
And they told me that they laid in a hospital bed for a week after they had been ambushed. They made a suicide pact with each other. And they said that on the day they made that decision, they happened to see my story. And they said that's what got them to stop.
It was a conversation that would change the course of Kyle's life.
I held it together while I was talking to him and came back to the hotel that night and just cried for hours. I think about those guys almost every day.
So, as part of his commitment ever since to the veteran community, Kyle and his team have decided to honor a fallen soldier by carrying his ashes up the mountainside. 6 years after his airport encounter, Kyle is facing another crisis. The end of day 5
The whole day was when I would just go and look up and see like how far I'd have to go, instead of looking back and seeing how far we'd come. I think I do that a lot in life and just in general. Just one step at a time.
Before the final push, Kyle is given the honor of carrying the fallen soldier's ashes. As the sun rises once more, Kyle trudges forward again and again, not just for himself, but to show others that they too can find a way to the top.
Dude, baby. First in the world to crawl up Kilimanjaro, Kyle.
At the peak, Kyle prepares to pour out the ashes of the fallen soldier.
Carrying me to the top of the mountain today meant a tremendous amount to me. It's an honor to be able to bring you here, man.
Mission Kilimanjaro, Kyle Maynard's mission, is a success, a tribute to those who inspired him, to those who always believed in him, and to all those who still yearn for belief and inspiration and triumph.
I hope that if there's a handful of people that experience that desire to do something greater in their life because of this, then it's worth it.
Pretty cool, right?
Way cool.
So, thanks, Rick. So, I'd like to hear from you guys. What stood out to you?
A couple of things. First thing he said, every excuse we make keeps us away from what we want most in life, which is true. But the other thing is, when we sometimes don't realize the impact we have on others' lives, and he didn't realize that until that day. And so, just by living and trying, so when we don't make excuses and we live life, we can have impacts on other people's lives that we don't necessarily realize we can have.
Interesting you say that after our last conversation, but yeah. Who else?
I think one of the most important things we can do and be as individuals is be authentic to ourselves, because when we can allow ourselves to be vulnerable and do that, that's when we have the ability to change someone else's life when we may not understand what the impact would be, even if it's one person, like what he experienced. And that changed, by him changing someone else's life, that changed his life forever.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting, like, when he had that experience? And these experiences are gifts, right? And we don't have these experiences unless we put ourselves out there. It's like a cycle. But once he did have that experience, that was like a huge, fuel for him, or purpose in what he did, right? Everything changed.
And the other thing for me is, and I think it's important, what he realized is he was always focused on how much further he had to go, no matter what was in life. He just always never felt good enough, or couldn't quite get to where he wanted to go. But he never stopped to look back and say, holy cow, look at what I've accomplished. And I think a lot of us, I do that all the time. I'm harder on myself than anybody is, which is a good and a bad thing, because no matter how much I accomplish, sometimes I'm always like, okay, I still have to do this.
Depends on where it comes from. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Are we beating ourselves up and not giving ourselves a chance? Or are we measuring our progress?
Yeah. So, what we're saying is that sometimes, in order to go forward, you have to see where we've come, how far we've come. Is that what we're saying, in a way? That sometimes you don't know, you're kind of stuck at a place, and you want to go forward, but you don't think you can, but you didn't look back and say, well, look how far I've come already. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a comment on that too.
Yeah.
I think the unsung hero in the whole part of this was we all families. His loving family gave him that safe harbor to find himself and believe in himself and to love him. I mean, that would be, I don't know, I can't imagine. I can't imagine what that was like just for the family and his sister going, I didn't even notice he was different. I mean, that's so cool.
Pretty, yeah, very
Yeah,
cool.
he was the oldest.
Yes, so pretty neat. He grew up and he didn't know any different. If he had to play with something, talked about the sandbox, he would figure it out. Like he didn't sit there and say, well, I don't have any arms to do this, and focus on that. He figured it out, and you saw him working through things. If you watch other things that he does, I mean, this guy shaves like no problem and all of this stuff. It's amazing what we're capable of if we stop focusing on our limitations. But you see in a party, he started to get really depressed when other people around him started showing him that, right? So, yeah, Rick.
I loved his dad's comment, the world's not going to be tailored to favor you. That is such a powerful comment, and it's true for every one of us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it's right back to the comment we always hear, life is happening for you, not to you, but this world is not tailored to fit you, and that's very uncomfortable, and that's good.
That mountain's not tailored to him,
Well,
but sometimes we can tailor it for us.
Even with that being the case, because he has found a way to take advantage of that,
yes,
he is rocking and making a huge difference in the world. Look at when he got to the top of Kilimanjaro. How many people in his group do you think complain at the end of each day when they're hiking?
Yeah.
When we decide to raise to a higher level, it raises everyone around us.
Okay. So I want to share here at the end some thoughts of my own and things that I've used for myself when I encounter obstacles and how I can get through them or around them, however I need to. So I have just a few steps here. One, you have to be specific about what you want. If you aren't specific about what you want, you can't recognize obstacles specifically. Does that make sense? If I want to make a lot of money, I want to just make a lot of money. I'm going to work really hard. Why am I not making a lot of money? I don't know. I'm working really hard, right? If I'm specific, exactly. With Mount Kilimanjaro, there was a plan. He has a plan. It's not, I'm going to work really hard and build myself up and here goes, right? He has a plan. So be specific about what you want. I am absolutely amazed how many times I sit down with people and for whatever reason, whether they feel they don't deserve it, whether they've been in scarcity for so long and just doing just enough, or they're scared of saying they want something, and if they don't get it, what that means, have the courage to be specific. It's courage. Have the courage to be specific about what you want. And you're not being selfish. All right? So when you're specific about what you want, I need to learn to condense this stuff better. Specific about what you want. I don't know how else to put that. Second, you doing this. Or be positive. We focus on what we want, but why do you want that? Why? If you start asking yourself why, you'll either figure out one of two things. I don't really want that, and that's what society wants, or outward things that aren't important to me. Or this is going to take on meaning, what you want. Once it has that meaning, just like Kyle Maynard in this example, climbing the mountain had meaning. He was a different person than he was in 2005, 2006, before he had that experience, right? So make sure you have meaning to being specific about what you want. 3, energy. Do you guys notice the day you don't sleep as much, you don't eat right, whatever's going on when you're low energy, these distractions or obstacles seem a lot bigger? You guys notice that?
Oh, yeah. Self-talk is bad. Yeah, all of these.
Yeah, you've gotta prepare yourself energy-wise, as John's yawning right now. So you have to prepare yourself energy-wise to be able to take on these things. Get the sleep, take care of yourself physically. Make sure you're in the right frame of mind, the right place. All right? Make sure you have your victories every morning. If I get up late, don't make my bed, I'm late to my first appointment, how am I setting myself up for the day? Tired, right? And then 4 goes into plan, but I'm going to say plan for distractions. One example I like to use for whatever reason, I bring up McDonald's sometimes. I go to McDonald's like once a month, and it's like so sweet. If you wait a while, it's so good. But if I am trying to lose weight, if I'm going to the gym, working out, and let's say this is something that's pretty difficult for me, and I'm trying to eat better. Eat better? Eat right?
Eat better.
Is that correctly? Eat better works? Doesn't sound right. But if I want to eat better, and every day I go to work, I go by a McDonald's, and I don't have breakfast that morning, is McDonald's going to be a little bit more tempting than it usually is? Yeah. Right? Those that are most successful, this is where it comes into how we say no. Those that are most successful say no to these things better than anyone else does. Those that are most successful, I think we heard an example before. I can't even remember who it was. Who's the owner of Virgin Atlantic? What's his name? Richard Branson. How someone was trying to get a meeting with him, right? And they could not get through to him. How he set himself up with layers and layers of people in front of him, right? So that he would be able to say no without even having to have a conversation with someone. What are we doing when we know that prospecting is an absolute must for us to get specifically what we want? And then we start out the day like, I sure hope everything works out today. I sure hope nothing comes my way. Plan for it. Go to another area if you need to. Like, do whatever it is that you need to do. I can't tell you in your specific situation what it is that you need. Put something on your door before anyone even knocks on your door. If you have an office, that they won't even knock on the door because it says prospecting until 11 p.m. Have a response ready. When someone reaches out to you, say, hey, can I call you back at 11:30, 12 o'clock? 90% of the time they're going to say that's fine. And then you're training everyone around you so you don't have those distractions. I'm talking about people, but there are other distractions we have no matter what it is that we're going for, right? Plan for it. Learn how to say no more effectively than other people. And then you can say yes to the things that are most important to you. And then, let's see.
6 or 5?
Thank you. I'm going to use 5 last.
F is next.
Take inventory on how you're doing. We talked about this earlier. Someone brought it up. It's so easy to beat ourselves up and focus on what we lack or what we haven't done yet, right? Focus on what you've done. The numbers tell you a story. I've spoken about this with many of you individually. Track what you're doing. Track your numbers, and that's going to tell you a story on where you're going. So literally, take inventory and measure your performance. Just like he did in climbing the mountain, measure what you're doing to prepare for these things, okay? And then lastly, how about number 6? Give yourself a break. What do I mean by that? Sometimes we beat ourselves up so much. Why would we ever get back on the horse? Why would we ever try again? Because we beat ourselves up so much about what we haven't done, who we aren't. I don't have the experience. I knew I couldn't do it. Why would I even try?
I think this is where it's important to celebrate our success.
Yep.
Yes.
So sometimes we get so caught up in just the everyday. I mean, this is all, we can focus on this whole plan every single day, but if we don't take just a minute to be happy for ourselves and appreciate our success, we'll get caught up in this somewhat of a negativity, you know, and wear ourselves out.
I've spoken about this with some of you. When we're specific about what it is that we want and why are we doing this, this is so important, guys. If I'm doing this for me, I mean, it sounds selfish, but if I'm doing this for me because I love myself and I deserve this and I'm worthy of this, yeah, if I fall off one day, rather than just killing myself and saying, oh, so-and-so does it, but I can't, that's when we make comparisons to other people or whatever it is, and we put ourselves down, just like Josh was saying, we beat ourselves up. But if we say, you know what, like, yeah, it was an off day, but if I went to McDonald's or did whatever, or if I got up late, whatever it is, I come from a place of, I deserve better. I deserve not to feel this way. So tomorrow, I'm going to come back at it, and I'm going to give myself what I deserve because I'm worthy of this. John.
So the year that I was dating Valerie, I know everyone hates the term accountability contracts, but I did. I set up 90-day accountability contracts, and everyone says they're so not fun and all that, and I knew that when I was 2 weeks away from the end of that, if you don't set up another one, you're not going to. So I would set up another one to start a week after that one in. So I'd take a week break and then I'd go right back into another one.
So we know what it is that we need through whatever it is that we're going after, right?
Yeah.
So set that up around us. But I really just want to leave these things with you guys, and I mean, please it's just amazing to me how often we set what it is that we want and we don't know why we want it, or we want it because we think that's what most people want, so I should want that. Does that make sense to you guys? Like, literally, do yourselves a favor, come from a place of where I deserve this. I don't deserve what I've been giving myself over the last year to 5 years. I do deserve this, right? And then figuring out that plan going forward. Dan, real quick.
Yeah, one guy you might want to look up, sorry. There was a guy I took up to Park City one time when I was doing some chauffeur work. His name was Rondo Fiennes. He's actually considered the world's foremost explorer. But after the age of 70, he ran a race in Monaco, which is like a 150-mile race. And they have to come in within under a certain amount of time. Well, he came in, underneath that time. He also had heart surgery at one point, and he did what was called the 777, which is 7 marathons on 7 different continents in 7 days. It's crazy. Guy worth looking up when you have a minute. Randall Fiennes.
Okay.
777.
Right?
Jackpot.
In closing, guys, I want to share one last thing with you. In speaking to different agents and other individuals, even people around me, and I do this myself, it's interesting how often we just focus on enough. And when I say enough, just enough to pay the bills this month. I just want enough to pay the bills, or I just want enough to be okay or be comfortable, whatever it is. And the place where we're coming from with that, for this individual that we just watched his story in climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, it's probably enough. He could do a video on his morning routine and we would all say, wow, that's really cool. But he is capable of more than that, right?
Oh, yeah.
How many times do we sell ourselves short with what we're capable of by saying, oh, I'm doing enough? It's interesting to me. I'm going to try and draw this, but literally it's almost like, you guys have no idea what this is, but it's almost like, this is the worst drawing. It's almost like we're getting close to this cliff, right? And it's like, I'll do just enough to miss. Just enough to miss it, and I'm okay. I'll be okay. Right? How often do we sell ourselves short with this? This is scarcity. This is scarcity staring at you in the face.
Is the point to jump off the cliff?
No, the point is, like, we say, I've got to pay my bills on time, or I'm evicted, or I've got to make these payments, or
gotcha.
Financially, or
The cliff is the
like,
barrel.
I've got to get just there not to fall off, right? Where if we're focusing on what it is that we want and not scared of demanding that of ourselves, we're like far over here. We don't even see this.
No danger.
It's not even within sight, right? Choose what this is for you, what point that is. What is your Mount Kilimanjaro? What is it? And all you have to do is plan through these things and know that obstacles are going to come your way. But that's what makes all of this fun. If we're not going to stretch ourselves and challenge ourselves and just want to live and, like, be okay, what is that? What is that? Right? What's cool about, speaking of our job, what's cool about our job is we have plenty of opportunities to fail, right? Depends on how we define failure, but that's why so many people jump out of this. So many people said, you know what? No, I want enough. I'm not going to go through that pain anymore. Like every single day, rejection every day. We have the opportunity to be rejected every day. Going back to McDonald's, I keep using McDonald's, but if I work at McDonald's, do I have a huge opportunity for failure if I'm on the line and I literally, my job is slap a patty on there, move it down, you know? Like, there's not a whole lot of room for failure.
It's going to happen.
But do you know what? Do you know what?
To me.
There's not, this is important, guys. There is not a lot of room for success in that either. Right?
Right.
There's what's called a success pendulum. However deep your failure is, however often it is, it will always swing back as long as we don't stay in failure and dwell on that all the time, because we won't go back to it. But literally, the more we fail, that will always swing back on the success side. And the only reason we're going to do that is for what we want. We have to know what we want in order to put forth the effort, right? Yeah.
You just gave me a thought. I want to kind of give it to you. No failure and no success.
Well, yeah. And however often we fail is however often we put ourselves in an opportunity to succeed.
Yeah.
Right?
And see, and I live a life with no failure because I don't like failure, but that also limits my ability to succeed.
And the way we see failure, that can be a whole other discussion, but that's actually getting you closer to success, right? And it's not the end of the world. If someone rejects you on the phone, I mean, do we have to get out of the business? Is the department going to call you up and be like, I don't think you can do this, you know? The Department of Real Estate, are they going to call you up and say, like, you just got rejected? I don't think it's going to happen. So we have a huge opportunity in front of us, guys. A huge opportunity where, because of that failure, you can turn things around in 2 months, 1 month. With your activity this week, you could have the best week of your life next week with opportunities that's coming in front of you, okay? So I just want to leave that with you guys. Don't focus on only doing enough. Focus on first what you want, and you are going to be absolutely amazed by your capabilities to do that, just like the video we'd seen earlier. Okay? All right. Let's have a great day. Woo!
It's like singing a song in the shower.
I succeed because
I succeed because I have my goals. I have an optimist. I like talking to people. I know what is important to me. I remember people's names. I have a daily plan and I follow it. I am passionate about real estate. I know consistency is my greatest tool. I like asking questions and listening. I enjoy reading to improve my sales skills. My thoughts lead my emotions, actions, and results. I focus on my dreams daily. My presentation is powerful and persuasive. I improve my skills daily. I am happy. I love to prospect because it feeds my business. I see my future is awesome. I love my life. I am grateful and thankful. I control my future. I believe in me. I feel outstanding. I use my beliefs and options to be a leader. I get things done. I provide excellent customer service. I drink water daily. I connect with people. People love me. I love others. I am disciplined and accountable on my daily schedule. I prospect daily. I set appointments daily. I am a master persuader. I achieve my goals. I'm a real estate rock star. I am passionate about my life. I live every day with purpose. I am confident in myself. I know my destiny. I am healthy and strong. I am powerful. I am unstoppable. I keep positive, exciting, fun, productive thoughts in mind at all times. Yes!
Next Tuesday, they're doing a speed networking.